Welcome to teaching learning session. Today we'll start with a new course code that is MMPM001 consumer behavior. Right. Today we'll start with unit 1 of consumer behavior, nature of consumer behavior, the decision process and physical activities engaged in when evaluating, acquiring, using, or disposing of goods and services. Right. So, what is the nature of consumer behavior? Right. Whenever this includes the decision process and other physical activities, right, engaged in when we evaluate, acquire, then when we evaluate, then acquire, then use, or disposing of goods and these services, right? So who is a consumer, right? Let's start with who is a consumer. To put in the generic term, a consumer is a person or a group who intends to order or orders or uses purchased goods, products, or services primarily for personal, social, family, household, and similar needs, not directly related to entrepreneur or business activities. Right? That is those people or a group of a people or a person, right, who intends to order or orders or uses the purchased goods, products, or the services, right, primarily for the personal use or for social or family or household and similar needs, not directly related to entrepreneur or the business activities. Known as the consumer means a person who purchases the goods or the products or services for the personal use or for the use of the family or the household. That is known as consumer goods. The intention of purchasing those goods or the services is to consume them by themselves only, rather than using those goods or services for other entrepreneur or business activities. That is known as consumer. A customer is one who actually purchases a product or services from a particular shop or organization, right? So see, consumer is one who consumes that product, right, whose basic aim is to consume that product for by themselves. That is known as consumer. And a customer is one who purchases that product or the services from a particular shop or organization or orders that services or um, products. This is a simple model of consumer decision making. While we are making a decisions, right? See, consumer behavior includes a decision making. Various factors influences the consumer decision process, right? It is a complex. This decision making, consumer decision making is a complex process, right? There are many inputs, and we processes those inputs, and then we get the output, right? There are the inputs are the various factors, right, which influences the consumer decisions, like factors like external influences and the socio-cultural environment, like firms marketing efforts, like there are products, promotion, price, channel of distribution, right? So all these factors influences the consumer decision making. Products, what type of a product is that, promotion impacts the price, impacts the decision making, and the channel of distribution, whether it is available or not. Then the socio-economical factors impacts the decision making, like the family, informal society sources, other non-commercial sources, social class, and subculture. All these plays a very important role in or influences the consumer decision making, right? Then all these then the consumer then through these inputs we process our needs, that is in process. Then comes the process system of decision making. In process, we recognize the needs, the consumer recognizes the needs, and pre-purchases, searches, and evaluation of alternatives, right? Like And this psychological factor plays a very important role. It gives the input for these need recognition, pre-purchase search and evaluation of alternative like motivation, right, perception, learning, personality, attitude. All these factors plays a very important role in processing, right. And then from this we the that consumer recognizes the needs and searches for the purchases, and then evaluate after the searches. They that many alternatives will come up, and then they evaluate the alternatives, right. And the psychological factor plays a very important role, and then they uh, now the consumer is experienced one. Then after that they can make purchase or can cannot make the purchase. Then if they make the purchases, then comes the post decision behavior. After making the decision, then comes the post decision making. Post decision making, that is the output, either the purchase or post purchase evaluation. That is, if someone purchases something, then comes the trial, right. If someone is purchasing it for the first time, right, they are using it and making and evaluating it whether that product or the services has fulfilled their needs or not. That is known as the post purchase evaluation. Or it could be again, if they are happy and satisfied with the results of that, they can repeat the purchases and then again evaluate. And this is a simple model of consumer decision making, right. There are many determinants which actually plays a very important role in decision making, like motivation and environment. All of us are consumer within a given society, and all of us have some alternatives to choose from, yet two or more consumer may exhibit identical consumer behavior. Each one of us is unique individual with uniqueness set of needs, desires and motivation. And motivation is that internal force which arouses or activates some needs and provides direction of behavior towards the fulfillment of the needs. See, we all are consumers, we need certain things, and we are different, as well as some uniqueness is there, right. There are we have some unique sets, and many people have some unique sets of needs, desires and motivation. And what is motivation? It is actually those internal forces, right, that which arouses or activates some needs and provide direction of behavior towards the fulfillment of the needs. A motivation may be psychological in nature, that is directed towards the fulfillment of biological needs such as hunger or thirst, or may be the psychological of nature, focusing on the satisfaction of psychological desire as of seeking status. And everyone has both psychological and the physiological, that is the physiological and the psychological motivations, and we each fulfill them in a different ways, right. The reason why we adopt the different method of satisfaction for our motivation is because different level of personal involvement in various activities. We all have certain physiological and psychological needs, and we have motivation to fulfill our physiological and the psychological needs, and it is required, right. And we fulfill our physiological and psychological in different ways, or we adopt the different methods. Why do we adopt the different method of satisfaction, right? Because of the different level of personal involvement in various activities, right. Few people are more involved in the activities while others are not. Involvement refers to the personal relevance or importance of a product or services that consumer perceives in a given situation. Why we behave in a different, why we have a why we fulfill our needs in a different way, because of difference in the personal involvement in the various activities, that people are that there are the different levels of personal involvement. It varies from person to person. This level of personal involvement varies from person to person. And what is this personal involvement? Basically is personal involvement is basically refers to the personal relevance or importance of a product or services that a consumer perceives, that how important that service or a product is for that particular consumer in a given situation. So involvement actually depends on the importance of the product or the services that a consumer perceives in a given situation for that consumer, right? If that is very important for a consumer, if consumer perceives that that service is very important, then they might involve themselves in that. High involvement leads to highly motivated state of mind, right? So when one is highly involved in something, when they perceive that that type of a service is actually, that type of services is very important and very important, then they are highly involved, they are highly involved and lead to a highly motivated state of mind. High involvement and high motivation lead to consumer behavior process, which is distinctively different from that of low involvement and low motivation. So that see the a high involvement leads to the high motivation when a consumer feels like, when a consumer perceives that product or service is of high importance to that consumer, then it would lead to a high motivation or high motivational state of mind. And this high involvement and high motivation leads to a consumer process which is distinctively different from that of low involvement and low motivation, obviously, right? So this plays a very important role. And then attitude actually plays again a very important role in consumer behavior. Actually, what the attitude is our learned predispositions towards the object, people and event. Again, it's a perceived behavior, right? It's learned predispositions. It is our attitude which influences how we respond to the different situations or the products or the services. Attitudes are not born or innate in us. Our attitude influences our purchase decisions and the consumptions, because our attitude is what? It is our perceiveness towards the object, people or the event. What we perceive towards the object, people and events, it is based on the experience of an individual, right? So it is predispositions and our attitude. So attitude influences the purchase decisions and the consumptions of the consumer. Then personality and self-concept plays a very important role in this consumer behavior. A related construct, a self-concept or a self-image is the way we perceive ourselves in a social framework. So it again plays a very important role in consumer behavior or the decision making. Why? Because it is related to a self-image, the way we perceive ourselves in a social, in this society. We always tend to buy only those products and services which we think fit or match with our personality or in conformity with our self-concept, right? So we tend to buy only those products which we feel like that matches our personality or which are in conformity with our self-concept. So personality or self-concept plays a very important role. Then learning and memory. We only remember the information which is of relevance and important to us, where we have motivation to remember, right? Our motives, attitude, personality act as a filter by letting in only those relevant information and keeping all information out, right? We would see the product, hear its jingles, but chances are it will not register in our mind. We will remember only for a short while and then forget it. Then this is known as selective retention. Then learning and memory plays a very, very important role in decision making, because we remember only those things which is as per our attitude and as per our motives, or which suits our personality. We might hear many things, but only remember those things which is as per our requirements, and all other things we might hear, but we don't remember those things. Then the information processing is very important. This refers to the process and activities where consumer engaged in while gathering, assimilating and evaluating the information, and the manner in which we assimilate and evaluate this selective information is determined by motives, attitudes, and personality, and the self-concept, right? So before making any of the decision, we gather the information and process the information, right? So this process activities which consumer engaged in gathering, assimilating, and evaluating the information. The manner in which we assimilate and evaluate this selective information is determined by motives, attitude, and personality, and the self-concept. There are certain group determinants which influences the decisions, like cultural influences. The first of the influences is that of the culture variable, right? Our decisions basically depends on our culture. Culture is what? Culture is defined as the complex sum of the knowledge, beliefs, values, customs, morals, laws, and other habits acquired by the people as a member of society. And culture of one society may differ from the culture of other society. Many of our actions and behavior as a consumer stem from our culture background, right? Then apart from the culture, then the subculture influences. Within a given culture, there may be group or the segment of people with distinct customs, tradition, and behavior which set them apart from the other people. This subculture as a part of a same culture mainstream on account of their dress, food habits, religious tradition offer the interesting implications for the marketer. Then apart from the culture, the class influences, social class influences the decisions, right? Social class is a group consisting of number of people who share more or less equal position in the society. What is class? When a group of a people shares the equal classes or equal status in the society, that is known as the class, right? Within the social class, people share the same values, belief systems, norms, and exhibits the similar pattern of behavior and consumption. Some social classes are ranked as higher and lower. Right? There is a ranking of classes. Social classes differ from one society to another, and their standing in society may changing over the time. Social classes may be defined by parameters such as income and occupation. So income and occupation is the basic parameters which defines the social classes, and there is a ranking. The belongingness to a social class influences decisions such as choice of residence, type of holidays, means of entertainment, and leisure. Then the social group influences the decision making process. That is, a social group is a collection of individuals who share some common attitude and sense of relationship as a result of interaction with each other, right? So social group plays a very important role because social group are the group of individual. They share a common attitude, and attitude plays a very important role in purchasing, right? And the social group may be primary, where face-to-face interaction takes place, or it can be secondary type of a group, like a group where there are the less personal. The relationship is less personal in nature, or a formalized type of the relationship. Then family influences the consumer behavior. Then family is a social group which can be defined as a primary group. Primary group are those group which are like face to face, and where there is a face to face interaction. Like family plays a very important role in purchasing decisions. It is one of the strongest source of influence on the consumer behavior. Right, family influences the consumer behavior. The first and the foremost strongest influence on the child is that of the family, and he imbibes many behavior patterns from other family members subconsciously, and these influences tend to stay with him even after attaining adulthood. With family, many decisions are made jointly with various members exerting different degrees of influences. The changing structures of family as a joint system is gradually fading away, and nuclear family is imbibing, and so this also has an influence on the consumer behavior. Then comes the personal influences. Each individual is influenced by the family, social class, subculture, and the cultural group to which he belongs, and yet has his own distinct personality, which influences his decision and behavior as a consumer. Many factor plays a very important role, like family plays an important role in consumer decision making. Classes plays, culture plays an important role, subculture plays a very important role. But again, an individual has a distinct personality, and his personality influences the decision of the consumer, right? And that helps and that impacts the decisions of the consumer. So personal influences is there, that the individual personality plays a very important role in consumer behavior. Each decision process is the outcome of interplay of personal and social variable. The process of evaluation of different product and different brands will vary from person to person. For one, price may be the most important parameter in making a decision to buy a water geyser, or another it is convenience, or yet another it may be status symbol of the value. So both that the individual factor and the group factor plays a very important process, and this process of evaluation of the different product and the different brands will vary from person to person, right? Like price may be the most important parameter for someone, right? For another it could be convenience, right? For another it may be status symbol, right? Or for someone else it could be something else, right? So this all these factor plays a very important role. There are the various models of consumer behavior defined by many, right? Like Howard and Shet model, right? The Engel and Collett Blackwell model both present comprehensive model of individual buying behavior and the family buying behavior that explains the decision process, right? Let us discuss this Howard and Chet model. This Howard and Chet model recognize the consumer decision making under three different problem solving levels, right? So this consumer decision making, this recognizes the consumer decision making under three different problem solving level. Like the first level describe extensive problem solving, where the consumer does not have any basic information or knowledge about the brands or have any preferences for any product. In this situation, the consumer will seek the information about all different brands in the market before purchasing. So, this model describes the consumer decision making in three different problem solving level. The first level is that when consumer does not have any basic information or knowledge about the brands or any preferences, or does not have any preferences about for any of the product, right? In this situation, the consumer will seek the information about all different brands in the market. The second level is limited problem solving, that exists when the consumer have a little knowledge about the market or a partial knowledge about what they want to purchase. In order to arrive at a brand preference, some comparative brand information is sought. The first level is when the consumer doesn't have any information at all, then before purchasing, they will try to find out or gain the knowledge about the brands or the product. The second level is when there is a limited problem solving, right? And the limited problem solving, that exists when the consumer have some little knowledge about the market or the partial knowledge about what they want to purchase. In order to arrive to a brand preferences, some comparative brand problem is solved. The third level is habitual or routinized responsive behavior exists when the consumer knows very well about the different brands, can differentiate between the different characteristics of each product, and his repeat buying decision is usually a brand replenishment decision in favor of a preferred brand. So the third level is when the third level is habitual or routinized response behavior that exists when the consumer knows well about the different brands and can differentiate between the different characteristics of each brand. And his repeat buying decision is usually a brand replenishment or the favor of the are in favor of the preferred brand. So this is the one model, right? So this is there are the as per this model, right, there are three level. The first level when consumer doesn't have any idea about the brand. Second is when they have some idea about the brands, and third level is when they are well versed with the brand. This Howard and Shack model explains the buying decision process with the help of four sets of variables, right? There are the three levels and there are the four sets of variables: the input, the perceptual or the learning construct, the output, and the exogenous variable, right? So they try to define this decision making process with the four sets, that is the input, the perceptual, output, and the exogenous variable. The input variable consists of stimuli like price, quality, distinctiveness, right, presented by the marketer, which have both significant and symbolic impact. Input variable also includes the social variables like family, social class, reference group, etc. The learning construct, the second was the learning construct or perceptual construct. The learning construct comprises the psychological variables such as the motives, attitude, brand comprehension, and choice criteria, which enables the buying intentions, right? Then comes the perceptual stimuli explain how consumer receives and understands the information from input stimuli and other parts of the model. So first is the input variable. The input variables are many like quality, price, uniqueness, social, culture, family, right? Then comes the learning inputs, that is the learning constructs. Learning construct explains the variables such as the motives, attitude, brand, or other things, and the perceptual stimuli. The consumer receives and understand the information from stimuli, how he perceives that information which the consumer receives from input, right? For example, stimulus ambiguity result when consumer does not understand the message from the environment. Perceptual bias occur if the consumer distort the information received so that it fits to his or her established needs or experiences. Then the output variable is the purchase decision as a resultant, right? Then the output variable is the purchase decision, whether they want to purchase that product or not, or of which brand they want to purchase, and then the post purchase evaluation of either satisfaction or dissatisfaction, right? The former will result in strengthening the brand comprehension and brand attitude, while the later will trigger off the reaction of a negative attitude, low attention to the product stimuli, poor brand comprehension, and negative intentions to the purchase, right? So again, then the exogenous variables on the other hand are not shown as being a part of decision making, but also is very important bearing on overall decision making. This exogenous includes like importance of purchase, consumer personality traits, religion, and time pressure. All these are again plays a very important role in consumer decision making. The Angel Collat and the Blackwell model, right? The model explains the buying behavior process with the help of five components, right? So this model explains the buying behavior with the five components: the information input, information processing, decision process, decision process variables, and the external influences. Information input. These components includes all kinds of marketing stimuli like advertisements, product displays, point of purchase stimulus, non-marketing stimulus like information input shared by the friends, family, or colleagues, right? Once one is exposed to this information from variety of sources, one begins to process this information by going through the stages of exposure, attention, comprehension, acceptance, and retention of the information. Right. So one also utilizes the stored memory relevant for this purchase and process this information before retaining it actionable information for decision process. So the first component is information input. One gets the information from the various sources, and this input, once one is exposed to this information from the various sources, right, by through various sources, right, this helps in retention of the information, right. Then comes the next component, the decision making process. In this model, right, you could enter a decision making process at any time during your information process stage, and the decision process is shown to comprise of sequential stages of problem recognition such as alternative evaluation, choice, and outcome process, right. So after information, right, one can enter into the decision making process, and this decision making process comprises the sequential stage of what, problem recognition. First stage is problem recognition, what exactly we need, what is that is problem recognition, or recognition of the needs, right. After recognizing the needs, it is important to develop the alternative, search for the alternative. So we'll search for the alternatives which can satisfy our needs or the requirements, right. Then after searching for the alternatives, an individual or the consumer evaluate the alternatives. They do the feasibility study of each and every type, and after doing the feasibility study or evaluating the alternatives, they make the choices. They make the choice from the present alternatives, and then it results in the purchase, right. Purchase, then the output output could be in form of purchase, or in form of not purchasing, in form of the purchase, right. Then after the purchases, after the consumption of the product, then again another step, the consumer enters into the another sequential step, that is the post purchase evaluation. That is the post purchase evaluation is after consuming that product or after having that product, right, that consumer evaluates whether that product was able to satisfy the needs or wants, or able to meet the needs or wants of the consumer or not, right. Once you arrive at the decision based on your alternative evaluation, which in turn is impacted by both individual differences and external influences, this decision will lead to the purchase, right. And the result and the output could be in terms of satisfaction or results in the post purchase dissatisfaction, right. There are various individual variables like demographics, motives, beliefs, attitude, personality, values, lifestyle, external influences like culture, social class, reference group plays a very important role and have impact the stage of both information processing and decision making, right. If any of important reference group member like colleague in the department, right, have a strong negative opinion about the after sales service of a given product, that brand will not be considered among the alternatives that one evaluate during decision process. So it plays a very important role, right. Then application of consumer behavior in marketing. What is the application of consumer behavior in marketing? That is analyzing marketing opportunity, right. First is one analyzes the marketing opportunity. Study of consumer behavior helps in identifying the needs and wants which are unfulfilled, right. So it is important, first of all, it is important to analyze the marketing opportunities. This A study of the consumer behavior helps in identifying the needs and wants which are unfulfilled. It is required the marketing department, what they do, they carry out marketing research, and in this marketing research, they try to understand or identify the needs and the wants of the consumers which are unfulfilled. So on the basis of that, they can produce the product or the services. This is done by examining the trends in income, consumer lifestyle, and emerging influences. Various factor plays an important role in this, right? That is, income plays an important role in trends. Come, lifestyle plays important role. Trends plays very important role. The rapidly rising sales graph in these categories an indication of how well the product has satisfied the consumer needs. So it is important when the product is able to satisfy the needs of the product, then only the sale will goes up, and this consumer behavior helps the marketing department, right? This is the application of consumer behavior is that in the marketing is that the marketer could understand the needs or identify the needs and the wants which are unfulfilled, and on the basis of that they can create the product or the services. And when that product or the services is able to satisfy the needs of the consumer, then the sales will go up. This rising graph of the sales indicates the satisfaction level of the consumer. Then selecting the target market, knowing who these groups are, how they behave, how they decide to buy enables the marketer to market the products, services especially suited to their needs. Right. So after identifying the needs and creating the product, it is important to select the target market. Right. Target market is that like whom target market is selecting target market is that is whom you want to serve, knowing who these groups are, whom you want to serve, how they behave, what all factors impact the purchase of this group, how they decide to buy the product or not. All this knowledge enables the marketer to market the product or services especially suited to their needs. All this made possible only by studying in depth the consumer and his purchasing behavior. How you can do that? Only by understanding the needs of the consumer in depth, the needs of customer, and the purchase behavior of the customer. Right. Now, determining the product mix, right? Product mix is product, the marketer has the product that will satisfy the unfulfilled needs of the consumer, but he must decide the size, shape, and attributes of the product, right? Then the price, at what price should the marketer charge for the product? Should it be the same that of competing product, or should be lower or higher? Should the price be marked on the product or left to the discretion of the retailer to charge what they want from the consumer? Then the distribution, having determined the product size, shape, packaging, and the price, next decision is related to the distribution channel. What type of outlets, including the online one, should be used to sell the product, right? Then the promotion, marketer here is concerned with finding the most effective method of promotion which will make the product stand out amongst the clutter. So many other brands and products which will help to attain the sales objective yet be within the budget. Then promotion plays a very important role, right? So these things are very important. These plays a very important role. Consumer behavior and lifestyle marketing, right? Lifestyle marketing, I hope now you understand the consumer behavior, right? Consumer behavior is how consumer take a decision whether to avail or purchase a certain kind of the services or product, right, or not. The lifestyle marketing is a process of establishing a relationship between the product offered in the market and targeted lifestyle group. Again repeating, what is lifestyle? Lifestyle marketing is process of establishing a relationship between product offered in the market and the targeted lifestyle group. Relationship between the product and the targeted lifestyle group, it how it will fulfills the needs of the targeted lifestyle group. It involves segmenting the market on the basis of lifestyle dimension. We all know about STP. S stands for the segmentation. That is, the dividing the market, the heterogeneous market into homogeneous market. And when we are doing it on the basis of the lifestyle dimension, right, we are dividing the market on the dimension of, we are segmenting the market on the dimension of the lifestyle, right? Then positioning of a product in a way that appeals to the activities, interests and opinion of the target market, and undertaking specific promotional campaign which exploit the lifestyle appeal to enhance the market attractiveness of the offered product. See, lifestyle marketing is a process of establishing a relationship between the product and the targeted lifestyle group. And when we segment the market on the basis of the lifestyle, right, then we position our product in a way that appeals to the targeted market. Now we position our product, we market our product in a way that appeal to the target market whom we are targeting, and undertaking a specific promotional campaign which and the promotional campaign should be in that way, or is in that way, which exploits the lifestyle appeal, right? Lifestyle appeal to enhance the market attractiveness of the offered product. We are segmenting the market on the basis of lifestyle, and we are positioning our product in a way which suits our target, we are positioning our product as per the lifestyle of our target group, and right, and we are making a promotional campaign in such a way which exploits the lifestyle appeal of our target to enhance the market attractiveness of the product, right? Then various factors play very important role, like demographic and psychographics and the lifestyles. Various variables like demographic variables helps the marketer to locate their target market, and psychographic variable provide the marketer with one or more insight about the segment, right? So demographic variable helps the marketer to locate their target market to whom they want to offer their product, and the psychographic variable provide the marketer with more insight about the segment, right? They try to understand the psychology of their target audience or this segment, and it gives an insight to the marketer about their segment. The psychography is in common parlance like lifestyle analysis or AIO research. In its most widely practiced form, the psychographic study consists of long list of statements designed to capture the relevant aspect of consumer like personality, hinting motive, interest, attitude, beliefs, and the values. Right? So this psychographic is basically very common. It is in common parallels with the lifestyle analysis, right? Lifestyle paralysis, like it includes the personality, hinting motives, values, and belief system of the target audience. Lifestyle analysis leads to more comprehensive and penetrating profile of how consumer think and act than may be available from other approaches. This lifestyle analysis gives more insight or a more comprehensive and penetrating profile of consumers, that how consumer think and act from other approaches, right? there are certain characteristics of lifestyle. Lifestyle is a group phenomenon. A person's lifestyle bears the influences of his or her participation in social group and of his or her relationship with other. Lifestyle, we all know that lifestyle varies, is a group phenomenon, and that the person's lifestyle bears the influences of his or her participation in social group or to which that person belongs, right? So this lifestyle depends on the, it's a group phenomenon, and it depends on the participation of an individual to a social group, or to which a social to which and to which group a individual belongs, right? Or belongingness of an individual to a social group, to a social specific social group, right? Lifestyle pervades various aspects of life. An individual lifestyle may result in certain consistency of behavior across different aspects of his life and consumptions. Knowing a person's conduct in one aspect of life may enable us to predict how or she or may behave in another aspect of life. So this is a group phenomenon, and lifestyle pervades various aspects of the life. It could vary or it could be same. Lifestyle implies the central life interest for individual. There could be many central life interests like family, work, and religion, politics, leisure, etc. It may shape up his interaction with the environment. Lifestyle varies according to the sociologically relevant variables. The rate of social change in a society has a great deal to do with the variation in lifestyle. So do the age, sex, region, religion, ethnicity, social class, the increase in the number of double income in the families, or increase in nuclear families, rising incomes or aspirations, large number of women in the workforce have resulted in various different lifestyle of Indian families compared to last decades, right? So there are certain characteristics. The first characteristic was it is a group phenomenon, right? And lifestyle implies the certain life interest in which that person is interested, and more than anything else, that it is that there are various sociological variables, relevant variables which impacts the lifestyle, or the lifestyle varies according to the sociological variables like age, right? With different age, our choices or our the attitude of the consumer changes, right? Then it could change with the sex, that the preferences of a females could be different for, or the behavior or the decision making process of a male could be different from female, right? It could be on the basis of religion. A certain type of product may be allowed in certain religion or may not be allowed in another religion. Then it depends on the social class. Lifestyle also depends on the social class and the ethnicity, right? There are many other factors, sociological factor, which impacts the lifestyle, like uh, rising in nuclear families, it is impacting the lifestyle, right? Increase in the income, it is impacting the lifestyle, or double family incomes, right? It is impacting this, right? Then change in aspiration, or large number of women in the workforce, it is changing the lifestyle, right? Of Indian families, as when we compare it with the other families, right? There are various influences on the lifestyle, like culture and society actually plays a very important role, right? Very important role in this, right? Then there could be group decisions, and there could be group and individual variables and the values which impacts the lifestyle, right, of a group or individual, and this lifestyle again impacts the purchase decision, and it is reflected in the marketing research, or the B consumer marketing research of the consumers, right? So approaches to study the lifestyle. How can we study the lifestyle, right? Lifestyle again refers to the way in which people live and spend money. That is what the lifestyle is. That is it shows how the people live and how they prefer to spend their money. It includes the consumer psychographic profile that are derived by measuring the different aspects of consumer behaviors, like product and services consumed, what type of product or services they want to avail or consume, activities, their activities and interests and opinions, value system, personality traits and the self concepts, and attitudes towards the various product classes. All these are the different aspects of consumer behavior, right? Yeah, we can define the consumer psychographic profile that are derived. We can, if we can measure the different aspects of consumer behaviors like the product and the services they consume, the activities, values, opinions, interest, personality trait, attitudes. By studying all these things, we can understand the lifestyle of group. Many approaches are available to study the psychographic variables. One of the way is to study the lifestyle variable by an AIO inventory for use in segmenting, targeting, and positioning. Another lifestyle approach is by using VALS topology, and two or more recent approaches are PRISM approach and the Roper Stratch Global Lifestyle Studies, AIO. Let's take it one by one. AIO approach or AIO inventories. This approach involves developing a detailed lifestyle profile on the basis of analysis of activities, interests, and opinion and demographics of a very large size sample of population. AIO studies a wide variety of variables and measures, right? So AIO is a short form of what? Is an acronym of what? Activities, interest, and opinion and demographic of a large. When you conduct research on a very large sample of population to understand their activities, interest, opinion, and demographics, right? There are the various wide varieties of variable studies includes a wide variety of variables and measures, right? Like activities, interest, opinion, and demographics. Like in activities, what we want to study, their work, what type of work they prefer. We want to hobbies plays an important role in activities. Other parameter could be hobbies in activities. Then the social activities or engagement. Then the vacation, what type of vacation they want. Entertainment could be another variable of activity to variable to study the activities. Then the club membership, another variable to study the activities, right? Then shopping and sports are the activities, are the variables to understand the activities. Interest includes the that is their recreational activities, fashion, food, media, achievements, then home, jobs. All these are interest all these factors play are very important, which shows the interest. Then the opinion about society, opinion about politics, business, economy, education, product, future, culture, right? All these are the factor which shows the opinion of the individual. Then demographic variables plays a very important role. Then the various factors like age, education, income, occupation, family size, geography, right? Say life cycle and city size. All this comes under demographic, and through these variable we can profile the demographic variable, right? Another system of classification is VLS system of classification, right? um, value and lifestyle classification, right? And it was developed by Arnold Michel. Ball's system of classification classifies adults, that is 18 plus, into distinctive lifestyle groups, right? So this system, that is value and lifestyle system classification, this classifies the adults, that is those who are 18 plus, into distinctive lifestyle groups. Each group is based on the inner psychological needs, that is values, and behavior response pattern with their values predict, right? So each group is that we have divided they have divided the group on the basis of inner psychological needs, that is on the basis of values, and behavior response pattern, that is the lifestyle which their values predict, right? As per their values, there should be the lifestyle. Walls provides a dynamic framework of values and lifestyle, which helps to explain why people act as they do as a social group and as a consumer, right? Because value and lifestyle plays a very important role, and this try to explain why people behave in that particular way in which they behave, right? Walls, unlike some other approaches, weave together demographics, right? Attitude, activities, consumption pattern, brand preferences, and media graphics, right? So all these are the this walls weaves together various variables like demographic, attitudes, activities, consumption pattern, brand preferences, and media graphics. Wells one study lead to identification of four major groups. First is the need driven, the poor and uneducated, right? Those who are driven by their needs. The outer directed, the middle or upper income class consumer whose lifestyle is directed by the external criteria. So outer directed, need driven, and the outer directed. And third is inner directed, people who are motivated more by the inner needs than by the expectations of others. And the fourth segment, called the integrated, represents individual who have been able to combine best of both outer directed and the inner directed values. So they classified, they identified actually the four major groups: the need driven, right? Then the outer directed, need driven, the poor and uneducated. The outer directed whose lifestyle is directed by external criteria. The inner directed whose lifestyle is directed by the inner needs rather than the expectations from the other. And then the integration, right, could be combined best of both outer directed and inner directed values. Walls 2 classification classifies the American population into three major consumer groups: the principle oriented, the status oriented, and the action oriented, right? So that was the Walls 1 classification. Walls 2 classification, they have classified the American population into major consumer group: the principle oriented, status oriented, and action oriented. These are then further subdivided into eight distinctive lifestyle segments. The principle oriented represents the consumer whose choices are governed by their beliefs, then their needs, and other people's approval. The choice of status oriented consumer, on the other hand, are directed by the action, approved, and opinion of other people. And the action oriented consumer are those who are motivated by the needs of their social and physical activities, variety, and risk bearing. So action oriented, the first is the principle, that their choices are directed by their values, right? And the status oriented consumer, their choices are directed by the opinion, approval, and opinion of others, while action oriented consumers are those who are motivated by needs for social or physical activities, varieties, and risk bearing. The principle oriented people have divided into two classes: the fulfilled and the believers. Believers are conservative, conventional people with concrete belief and strong attachment to the traditional institutions like family, church, community. Fulfilled are mature, right? Satisfied, comfortable, reflective people whose value order, knowledge, and responsibility. Most of well educated and professional occupation. Status oriented has further subdivided into four: the actualizer, achiever, striver, and the struggler. Actualizers are successful, sophisticated actives like take charge, people with high self esteem and abundant resources. Actualizer are successful. Achievers are successful careers and work oriented people who like to generally do not in control of their lives. They value structure, predictability, and stability over risk. They are deeply committed to their work and their families, and work provides them a sense of duty, material rewards, and prestige. So they are the achiever. Then the striver seeks motivation, self definition, and approval from the world around them. They are striving to find secure place in life, and struggler lives are constricted, chronically poor, ill-educated, and low-skilled without strong social bonds. Right? That's all for today. We'll continue with this in our next lecture. Namaskar.